Well, fight fans, it was John Ryder with the split decision over Daniel Jacobs. Let's talk about it. Well, what started out as a pretty decent fight and it turned into a little bit more of an exciting fight the second half. It was John Ryder with the split decision over Daniel Jacobs. I'll start by saying I got this fight wrong. I had Daniel Jacobs by unanimous decision. And I do still think that Daniel Jacobs won the fight. I thought that he won it 7-5. John Ryder did make a go of it starting in the seventh round, but I thought that Jacob got the first 6 rounds, and I definitely think he got at least one of those last 6 rounds, which should have gave him the edge. But John Ryder gets a close split decision. Let's start with the pros and the cons. Let me start with the winner, John Ryder. The pros would be that John Ryder came into this fight. I believe he came into this fight looking to win, not to be an opponent. He's 33, so he's pretty much near the end of his prime, and he fought as if he had something left to fight for. I love the jab from the southpaw stance. I thought that he did good work with that jab. And I love the fact that he turned it on in the seventh and eighth rounds when he thought that he possibly had Danny Jacobs hurt. As for the cons for John Ryder, I would say body work. He did not do, I'm going to say, pretty much any body work to slow Daniel Jacobs down or to zap some of his power. And I believe that John Ryder allowed himself to get held way too much in this fight. As for Daniel Jacobs, the pros would be he still looks pretty sharp. You can tell that he's lost a step, but Daniel Jacobs to me still looks like a very good fighter and a fighter, excuse me, who could still win some good fights out there. I like the fact that he was doing body work. Whenever he was getting inside on Ryder, his first punch was always to the body. He either was like a quick left uppercut to the body or a quick right uppercut to the body. I like the fact that he was using his superb boxing skills and moving around the ring. And I like the fact that he was throwing some hard shots. The cons would be he got into a fight that did not need to be a fight. I think that he was controlling the fight when he was fighting his fight the first 6 rounds, but for some reason in that seventh round, he wanted to make it a fight, which is what exactly got John Ryder back in his fight. The fact that Daniel Jacobs, for no reason at all, just made this a slugfest. And I believe that he also was allowing himself to be held too much as well. What I'm basically saying is that he and John Ryder were doing a lot of holding, not an over-excessive amount of holding where it was boring us, but I thought that they were holding each other a little bit too much. The fight I thought was a pretty good fight. Like I said, the first 6 rounds, I still think it was a good fight. There was action. It may not have been a whole lot of hard shots, but I thought it was a decent enough amount of action to at least keep me interested. And then when you got to round 7 through 12, the fight really turned up a lot. And I think it's because John Ryder felt that Daniel Jacobs was letting him in the fight and that Daniel Jacobs was giving him a chance to win, and that was really his only chance to win. And he took it, and that's what happened. I didn't see anything Daniel Jacobs said after the fight because after he congratulated Ryder, he left out the ring. But John Ryder, of course, like anyone who's fighting at middleweight, super middleweight, or light heavyweight, brings up the name Saul Alvarez. Now, with all due respect to John Ryder, I think that there are some fights out there he can get. I think David Benavidez would be a nice fight for him. I think that there's a couple other super middleweights out there that I think could be maybe some decent fights for him, whose names are slipping my mind right now. But I do not think that, with all due respect, that Canelo Alvarez is that Saul has John Ryder on his radar. I just can't see him, even with him moving into that spot. I don't know if it means he's moving to the mandatory spot or it will. I believe this fight was an eliminator. I just don't think so. I think that Saul Alvarez has bigger fish to fry. Not saying that John Ryder isn't worthy. Not saying that John Ryder isn't a good fighter. I just don't think that he would be on Alvarez list for guys to fight. Now, Eddie Hearn said that Canelo has mentioned that he wants to come over to the UK and fight. And fighting John Ryder more maybe next year would be a good fight for him. You can justify it. John Ryder now is probably the number 2 guy in the super middleweight division with that win over Daniel Jacobs. So Canelo Alvarez could justify it and say, I can go over there and take that fight. But I see that as an in-between fight. I don't see Alvarez fighting John Ryder as a May or September fight. I could see that as like a February fight, a fight that he fights in between his fights. But be that as it is, what would you like to see John Ryder do next? Who is there someone out there who you would like to see him fight? That would be a good fight for him. What I mean by a good fight is, I mean the fact that he just beat Daniel Jacobs, a top 5, top 7 super middleweight. He deserves another nice, decent fight after that. So who would you like to see John Ryder fight? Or do you disagree with me and you think that Saul Alvarez should fight John Ryder, whether it's in the United States or in the UK? And what did you think about the fight? Did you think that Daniel Jacobs got robbed? Do you think the right guy won, or do you think it was a draw? And what happens with Daniel Jacobs from here? What are your thoughts? I know Daniel Jacobs isn't done. I didn't see anything that makes me think that he should retire. I still think he has a few good fights left in him. Otherwise, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can keep talking boxing. Give me your comments. Other than that, that's all I got. I'll let y'all later.